Today we have our 2007 Toyota Estima, and the issue we're having with it is to do with the sliding doors. We push the button and it tries to open, but the locks won't disengage. You can walk up to it and pull the handle and it will auto unlock. And then we have the same issue when we try to close it, where it tries to move but the locks aren't disengaging. So we're going to tackle this problem today. We'll be removing the door trim on the inside and replacing the motor. Stay tuned. The doors can also be controlled on the inside here with the door switches, and we still get the same issue. So before we start working on it, one of the first things we want to do is make sure it's not going to accidentally close on us. So down the bottom here, we turn the power off to our doors. Next thing we need to work on is removing the door trim from the door. You can see here on the side. So the first thing we need to do is remove this T25 Torx screw, and then we can start unclipping the panel. Start off removing the Torx bit from the side here. We've already clicked the lock across. Now, because we've disengaged the lock, the electrical part of the lock, we can easily slide this door to where we want to. We don't want to close it all the way, because it makes it hard to get to the edge of the panel there. What we want to do is try and get a finger hold in here. A good place to grab is just down here where the cup holder is. You just give that a little pull and you can hear the clips start to come off, and you just need to work your way around, removing all the clips as you go. Once you've got all the clips off, you should be able to lift the skin up. One more clip. And out. There's a couple of cables we need to disconnect down here. One's for a door light and the other's for the window switch. Have a look, there's nothing else left down there. Now skin can be removed, and we have full access into the mechanisms in the door. Now what we're looking at today is this module over here, which is for disengaging the lock. I'm just going to turn the power back on. So you can see how it doesn't operate. And push the button. But when we pull this, it works. So the issue we're having is that this little cable here is not getting pulled to disengage that lock over here. I'm going to pull that cable. So now I give this a little pull and push it. So what we want to do is make sure that we're replacing the motor inside this module here, so this pulls all the way back, which disengages the locking mechanism over here in the handle. We can just test that electrically. First we've got to unlock the door. Now we pull the switch across. The door operates. So now what we're looking to do is replace the motor inside that module so that we can have the doors opening automatically again. With the module, it's quite easy to disconnect. There is a small clip here which pushes down, allows you to pull this little bar out. There's also a clip here that pulls out, disconnecting that whole cable altogether. You obviously have to disconnect the cable. You push this tab in here and pull down. That then frees up the mounting bolts to be removed. Now we've got that out. What we need to do is with these, remove these screws, take it away from the bracket, and what we might do is just do all that on the bench because we're about to replace that motor. Now I've got the module in the workshop on the bench. What we need to do is remove these 3 screws, and also on the back here you can see there's multiple little screws here that will need to be removed for us to open the module. So I'll just get started on that. Now we need to remove the little motor here. So we need to take out this big wheel first. Everything just sort of slides out, but just take note of where everything goes. We'll pop out this little planetary gear system. Now we need to pop out the motor. Might need a little bit of force there. Now what we need to do is swap the worm drive here to this motor over here, but what is happening here is you can see, might be hard to focus, but there's a flat part to this motor on the shaft, whereas this one is round the whole way. So we're going to need to flatten out this shaft to make sure that we can put this worm drive onto this motor. I'm just set up over at the grinder here. I've got my little worm drive here, so I can just test fit that as I grind a little bit off the shaft here. So I'm just going to try and grind a flat bit. Hold the shaft as best I can to make sure that it doesn't spin around, just by holding the back end here as tight as I can, and just until we get a bit of a flat spot inside that worm drive. Now I've got that bit flattened out, the worm drive sits on nicely. Let's go pop it back in the module and see how it fits. We want to make sure that we're getting connection with these two tabs here onto these two little terminals down in here. 1, 2. There should be a slight little click. Now I just want to give that a try with the power source to see if we have a little bit of spin. You can see there we've definitely got spin. I just hope it is the right way. We'll pop our bits and pieces back in. Now we will pull the screws back together and see if we're getting the module spinning the right way. Now we've got all the screws back in and the bracket back on. We want to pop it back into the vehicle and just give it a test run to make sure it's pulling the right way. We want to make sure that it's pulling that way, and if not, we need to reverse the polarity in the wiring loom here just to make sure we're matching that new motor. We'll head back to the vehicle and pop it in now. Now we're just going to quickly plug it in, turn the power back on, and just see if we're operating the right way. Got my key here. Doesn't look like it. And you can see it didn't go the right way, it just wound up. So what we've got to do is reverse the polarity on that to make sure it goes back the other way. So the easiest way to reverse the polarity here is to cut into the wiring loom here and then just swap over the cables. Only because in the module here, the two pins are basically hard wired up to the motor. There's nowhere to change that polarity within there. So what we need to do is cut this loom back a little bit. It's probably about here. Then we can cut and join them with a soldering iron. Now we've got that all cut and soldered and insulated. Let's see how we go. We'll pop the motor back on. I'll grab the key. See how we go. That's exactly what we wanted. So now we can start putting this back together. Let's just start off by mounting the bracket up first. In there, so we will need to put this little pin inside the hole here, and then we push this plastic clip up so it clips over the shaft there, and push this in here. Now let's see how we go pushing the button. Fantastic. Now we fix the problem. Now all we've got to do is put this door skin on. Now we're just about ready to get this door trim in. One thing you have to remember is to remove the door clips from the door so it can go back in. You can see one down here, one here. They need to, you can't see, one here and here. They need to be removed so they can be put back into the door trim over here and here, just like this one down here. And also pay just to make sure that they're pushed in place, so that when you go to put them in, that they just slide back in place nice and easily. Make sure that the power is disconnected to the door. You can't really install the door trim with the door closed. And one of the first things you want to do is make sure that the top seal goes in. So you put it in place. Make sure to reconnect the wires for the window switch and the little light. Then we try and slide the seal over the top here before we try and push the clips in. You should feel it click into the groove there, and then the door handle here will line up with its hole. Now it's just a matter of pushing the clips in. sure we put a little T25 Torx back in. Let's turn the power back on and see if it works. Alright, have if I unlocked it. Try again. There you go. Job's all done. My wife's going to be super happy. She's been dealing with this for years. So hopefully that helps all you guys out with fixing these doors up yourselves. Thanks for watching the video. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, all that sort of stuff. Thanks guys.